Good morning, everyone. How are we feeling today?
Oh,
no.
Come on.
Oh, no. Look, we're going to try that again. Are we ready? Just take a big, deep breath in and out. Okay, let's pretend that didn't happen. Good morning, everyone. How are we feeling today?
Yay.
No.
Are we gonna do one more?
It's like 6.5 out of 10. I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but I feel like we can get greater enthusiasm in the room. I want to hear like loud cheering. Imagine we are the celebrities that you've always wanted to meet. Who's cool today? Like Justin Bieber? Is he still cool?
No, I think
Okay.
you're showing your age then.
I should stop?
Yeah,
all right,
stop
got
immediately.
it. So let's try one more time. I want like cheering, I want arms up, I want enthusiasm, as if I'm not Justin Bieber. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? Yeah. Oh, that is much better. It's not like it took us 3 times. We were that good the first time. Welcome to the Bright Ideas Summit. My name is Nick Dyson.
My name is Jeanette Chia.
And we are super excited to spend the morning with you unpacking the potential that we all have inside of us. But before we do that, I want to kick off by showing you a little map. Raise your hand if you've seen this before. Oh, that's such a relief. I thought I had to rewrite the whole day. Fantastic. How old were you? I want you to hold up the number of fingers to indicate how old you were when you first saw this map. I was like 4.
Yeah.
Cool.
About 4 or 5?
Early primary school?
Yep. There's a few people in here who saw it at the age of 2. That's pretty impressive.
Very
6,
impressive.
7?
Okay.
Okay, got some 10s over there.
So this, for me, is an interesting map because I think it's also one of my first experiences with what schooling was supposed to be. Because I remember having to get a blank map of Australia and have to match the capital cities to the right states. Does anybody else remember that? And I feel this intense amount of pressure not to get it wrong. So I feel like that was the very first test I ever took as a student. I want to show you this one here. How old were you when you saw this map? Today, years old? Is anybody seeing this for the first time today? Yeah, totally. We get this all the time. So this, for those of you who may not know, is a map of our Indigenous peoples of Australia. And whilst we see this map first all the time, this map is infinitely older than the first. And I think what's really important for us to understand is today we're going to talk a lot about innovation. We're going to talk a lot about new, exciting, emerging tech, entrepreneurship, enterprise, all of these cool buzzwords. But the important thing for us to know is that true innovation and problem solving comes from deeply understanding our past. And it's through acknowledging the people that have walked before us in that solutions finding that we can truly innovate purposeful solutions moving forward. So I want to kick off by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land in which we live, work and play. We're on Kaurna land today, but I come from Yagara and Turrbal land in Queensland. And I want to acknowledge the incredible history, rich history and culture and knowledge, and that our First Nations people were our first entrepreneurs and problem solvers today.
Totally, Nicole. I'm originally from Melbourne, so I am usually working, living and playing on Wurundjeri land. But we work around the world as well, and there's some incredible Indigenous people from all around the world. So the stories and the creations that we do are rooted in deep history, and we should be forever grateful and thankful.
Fantastic. We're going to run through some really fast stuff today, but what I want to also point out is we've got near enough to 300 people in the room today, which is super exciting. But we have over 1,500 students streaming in to the live stream right now.
Right down those cameras.
So looking right down there, hey guys, playing
Hi.
from everywhere. And also our incredible camera crew, which we should probably acknowledge as well. And so we want to also, whilst we're working today in the room, and some of us are lucky enough to be here in person, we have literally 1,500 students plus that are beaming in from all over the country. Super excited to hear from our speakers today and also hear from some cool activities and get engaged in the day as well. Jeanette, tell us a little bit more about you though.
Well, I mean, first of all, here's a very embarrassing couple of pictures of me up on the screen. My name is Jeanette Chia. I am a Hawaiian born of Malaysian Chinese descent. So born in the States, moved down to Queensland, settled into Melbourne. So truly a global citizen, spent some of my kindergarten time in Japan as well. I'm the oldest of four. I believe you're an oldest child too.
I am.
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
We're going to.
But essentially, I'm the co-founder and CEO over a company called Hex, or Hacker Exchange. We take young people, mostly university students, on entrepreneurial and innovation journeys. So we take them to Silicon Valley, we take them to Tel Aviv, Singapore, or we used to before we weren't able to get on planes. So now we run some pretty incredible programs. These young women were the winners of a San Francisco trip. They did a Year 10 program for Internet of Things startups. But on the next slide, you'll see some of the activities that we used to do when we could actually travel. So we'd go and hang out with the people at Google, at Airbnb, explore some new tech, and visit some great cities. Now, the reason I do this is because I spent my entire life and career being very linear. And when I mean like doing the right things, one thing after the other. I played the violin from the age of 2, because I did. I studied economics, I studied sociology, went to uni, I worked in banking, I worked at ANZ, at Origin Energy, and I'm like, yeah, this career is cool, but there's something else I could be doing. And so I really wanted to dedicate my time to helping people break out of the concept that you have a linear career path. There's multiple, infinite things we could do. And I'm really, really glad that we met in Argentina at the Young Entrepreneurs Alliance. So here's another embarrassing photo of Nick and I over in Argentina.
Oh, memories.
Hanging out, memories. But that's enough about me, Nick. What about yourself?
Well, I feel like I should show embarrassing photos of me. I don't know why my parents thought it was okay to have a fringe that started from the back of my head. I need to raise that with my parents at some point. So this was me as a young person, and I was like I was the eldest of 5. Do we have any eldest children in the room? How much does it suck to be the eldest,
yeah,
right? Because you have all of the rules, all of the expectations. Your parents are relying on you to hold up the family name moving forward. Do we have any youngest children in the room? Yeah, okay. Parents have given up parenting you. By the time they get to you, you have no rules at all. You can pretty much do whatever you want. But as the eldest, it was really drilled into me that I needed to finish school, go to university, get a good job, be a good human. Who's had that narrative at home? Yeah. And so I did. I went to school. I was a swimmer as a young person, so I would go to the pool at 4 a.m, then I would go to school, then I would go back to the pool, and then I would go home and do homework, and I would do it all over again the next day. And then when I finished school, I felt a little bit lost, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I started a couple of different degrees, and then I went overseas and I traveled, and I coached swimming in London and also in America. And it was working with young people that were about 15 or 16 that made me think, maybe teaching, maybe that's a thing. I'm gonna try teaching. Came back, did a teaching degree, walked into my first classroom as a teacher, and I felt like it looked like this. Especially the dude in the bottom right-hand corner.
Yeah, he's not having a good time at all.
No, he's got those 2:55 feels right before the 3 o'clock bell. Who has ever felt like their classroom is a bit black and white, and they're maybe a little bit tapped out of the learning experience? In fact, maybe your inner monologue is, why are we doing this? Who's ever felt that in the classroom? So just so you know, your teachers feel this all the time. And if their hands aren't up, they're pretending. We know they think it multiple times a day. They're just trying to model good decision-making and choices by not raising their hand right now. But I definitely walked into the classroom and I felt like there was a real disconnect between life outside the school gates and the learning that was happening in the classroom. So I wondered whether we could actually create curriculum that allowed young people to produce products or services or stuff that they could use in the outside world. And so what we actually did is develop a program where young people look at problems that matter to them, which is kind of what you're going to do today, and then they come up with their own innovative business ideas that solve the problem, but also make them some sweet cash money. And so we work with, this year, 47 schools, almost 4,000 young people around the country. And there's a bunch of them watching today who have just started our Activate program and are beginning to look at problems before they pitch them. And what happens at the end of our program is all of our students, because it's not just what happens in the classroom, it's what you're going to do with that when you leave. So we provide the opportunity for young people to pitch their ideas in a national competition. And I just want to show you a really quick video of a behind-the-scenes footage of a team as the winner's announcement was being made.
Our final, the winner, the grand final winner for this year's Future Anything of 2020 goes to a remarkable group of very smart, very high energy group of a team that has come up with something that is so important for us now in Australia, in the world, and we believe has got a great chance with the right partnerships and the right work and a lot of hard work to be successful, and that is Aqua Shield. And they jumped as well done, guys. Fantastic. Wish we'd been.
Small amount of excitement. These guys walked away with like several $1,000s, I think like $3,000 to actually launch their idea. There's about $10,000 up for grabs in the competition at the end of the program. And then what we do with and everyone's like, I'm listening, tell me more, you said money, I'm into it. They don't have to use the money for their idea too. We love it if they do, but we also encourage our young people who've worked really hard on their business idea to buy something for themselves.
Yeah, treat yourself, right?
Yourself. You worked hard, get something for you too. And then also hopefully do something with their idea as well. And from here, we actually work with a bunch of young people around the country in YouthX, which is our startup accelerator program specifically for school-aged entrepreneurs. And this was a cohort of young people pre-COVID that we had the opportunity to work with in Brisbane. One of the young people in the picture you are actually going to meet a little bit later on today. I should have put a little circle over his face so that we could see exactly where he is, but I'll wait for Noah to introduce himself. So we work with, if you're a young person and you've got a cool idea and you want some mentoring, support and funding to launch your business, then you work with us and we make that happen for you. So that's a little bit about us and why we're here. And I think the key thing that we want you to know is it's not education versus entrepreneurship.
No, it's education via entrepreneurship.
So we're super excited to show you the opportunities that exist through entrepreneurship by introducing you to a bunch of really interesting speakers today and also taking you through 3 activities that will go from looking at problem through to a 5-sentence pitch of an idea. If you can do it in 45 minutes of action, imagine what you can do with a little bit more time. And this is the mission that we're going to work towards today. As a change maker, pitch an idea that solves a problem in your world. Now, that problem can be, it takes a really long time for me to get my coffee. One thing that really annoys me, have you guys experienced this, where you're lining up to get a coffee and it's a super long line, right? And you're being really patient. All you want is your long black in a small cup and you've been waiting patiently for a really long time. And then the person in front of you gets to the front of the line and they do this.
What do you want?
How do you not work it out during the line? So maybe the problem that you want to solve is people not knowing what they want before they get to the front of the line and it taking too long for you to get your coffee. Or maybe you want to solve a different problem. What are some other examples of problems that you've seen young people solve in the world?
I mean, there's some huge problems facing the world. I mean, we're trying to save it a little bit. But, there's everything from food waste. There's a lot of food going bad in the bottom of my refrigerator all the time. I never know what to buy. We can go all the way through to, walking past people on the streets and how can we help them? Or we can be as kind of first world problem-y as going through security at the airport and why do I have to take off my shoes? So there's all sorts of different things. It could be something you've experienced personally, something you see as being a passion for the world, or something you've observed in other people.
And so we want you to start marinating on a problem that you could potentially tackle today. And the biggest advice that I want to give you is it should be a problem that you care about and that you're interested in. If you're bored by it, don't pick it. So make sure that it's something that you have a genuine interest or passion, and potentially if it's a problem that you have a lived experience of. So it's something that you've actually experienced yourself or somebody close to you has experienced. So kind of file that in the back of your head, and we're going to tackle that in a moment. Now, as I said, we've got a whole bunch of people in the room, and we've got over 1,000 people joining us via those cameras at the back, and we want to hear from everybody today. So we've set up a Padlet. You'll see there's a QR code, so you can actually lift up your camera to the screen and it will link you straight to the Padlet. I love that the students are like, we're not allowed our phones
Want to take
out,
our phones
guys.
out?
You can take your phones out and you can snap. I love that you were waiting for that permission. So
The hands were kind of like in the pocket.
yeah, they were like,
we
we
We're
can't.
doing this?
And they're looking for, can we take our phones out? Can we? And so the reason why is we're going to have a bunch of speakers today, and we want your questions that we can ask our speakers. So we have cool questions that we want to ask them, but we actually want to hear from you. And the first thing that I want to challenge is you'll see the first column in the Padlet is actually for your selfie snaps. So we're going to give you like 30 seconds now. If you're joining us via the live stream, your teacher might do like an epic selfie with their face in it and all of your students in it as well. If you guys are there, grab a selfie, pop it on the Padlet, and actually share a photo of you being at our Bright Ideas Summit today. We want to see your faces. Make sure you get your good side. We're going to give you 30 seconds, snap a photo, post it on the Padlet, go. We're a big believer in telling you why we're doing something. So we want to tell you why thinking like an entrepreneur is important. We're going to give you some fast facts on why thinking like an entrepreneur is important. What's the first fun fact for a 12-year-old today?
Well, I mean, I think, we need to know that there's going to be so many different jobs. As we said before, like we thought we had one line. There's 17 different jobs that someone's going to have over their lifetime, possibly 5 different careers. And something I even learnt recently, for people sort of this age, you have a high likelihood of living to over 100. That actually leads you to have a career that's about 80 years long. So think about how many different things you can do in 80 years. I mean, you might want to retire early because you build something and you get to retire. But yeah, super quick, long career, long life, lots of different things that we can do during that time.
It kind of means that the question, who's had the question before, what do you want to be when you grow up? I mean, I don't even know the answer to that, and I'm apparently grown up. So I think the thing is you're not going to be one thing. So we can kind of take the pressure off that. I'd love for us to reframe that. What's your best next? If you're thinking about your best next opportunity, your best next career, your best next educational experience, think about your best next, because there's going to be a next after that. The other statistic we want to share with you is that 70% of the jobs that exist right now are going to be radically changed through globalization and automation, which means that what you think you may want to study when you finish school might not actually exist by the time that you finish, which means you need to be thinking about the skills and dispositions and the stuff that you enjoy and how that might transfer across different roles rather than locking into the whole, I'm going to be a doctor and only that.
Well, I mean, there's also this statistic of that 1 in 3 young Australians are unemployed or underemployed, and that makes me really, really sad for like 2 reasons. One is the fact that, to be underemployed means that your skills and your passions are actually being underutilized. It means you're not tapping into the stuff that you're actually able to bring to the world. And it makes me sad because my background's in economics, and I also know that this costs the Australian economy $15.9 billion in lost GDP or lost money. Like, it's ridiculous. So by actually empowering and upskilling yourselves so you are employed and properly employed, not only are you doing great stuff for you as an individual, but you're doing great stuff for the Australian and the global economy.
So important. And it's really about making that shift between being a job seeker to actually being a job creator. So kind of creating your own job moving forward. The other thing that's really important is that 63% of all jobs will be enterprise skill intensive. Now, I want to make something really clear right now. We're not talking about entrepreneurs. We're talking about enterprise skills. So what are some of the most important enterprise skills? It's stuff like this. Presentation skills. Who hates public speaking? Me too, and I'm standing here. But the important thing about presentation skills, it's basically your ability to stand in front of another person and convey an idea in a compelling way.
It's just communication, right?
Absolutely, and it is the most important skill, because if you can't convey an idea or communicate an idea to another person, how do you get a job? How do you keep a job? How do you run a project? It's so important, and the only way you get better at presenting is by doing it. The next one is creativity. So that idea of looking at problems and being able to solve them in an innovative way. Critical thinking. You guys have access to every piece of knowledge you could possibly need. My year 10 maths teacher once said to me, Nicole, you really need to pay attention to this. It's not like you're going to have a calculator in your pocket everywhere you go.
Lies.
I do have a calculator in my pocket. I win. But what that means is knowledge is not necessarily king anymore. It's the ability for you guys to be able to discerningly choose which knowledge you engage with. What's the most important knowledge? Is it from a credible source? How do I apply it in the right context? That's your critical thinking. And finally, we're talking about digital literacy. You guys are digital natives, so you get it, but actually the ability to use your digital skills in a really productive and proactive way. What's the best tool to use? How do I use it effectively? And also thinking about your personal brand online. When I was a young person, all of the mistakes that I made were not on social media for everybody to see. You guys need to realize that every job you go for in your lifetime, your future employer will be screening what your personality and your persona looks like online before they offer you a job. So before you post it, think about whether future you would be excited about that post or that photo being seen by a potential employer. Think about that branding point of view. And I guess what I want to bring your attention to is that not only are these skills important for getting a job, they're also important for getting paid more. If you're a great presenter, you can net almost $9,000 more a year just because of your ability to communicate. Your problem-solving skills will get you almost $8,000 more a year. And digital literacy, so being able to use those digital devices in an effective way, will actually net you almost $9,000 a year. So we're not talking about just getting the job, we're talking about actually keeping the job and getting bank paid for it as well.
Absolutely, and being that person in the room that when everything goes to hell, your employers look at you and say, hey, Nick, can you help me solve this? Because you're the one who knows how to do it.
And you say, I've got the enterprise skills to tackle this.
And I want 30,000 more.
Exactly,
Yes.
And that's the communication skills to get paid more. Right, we've done a lot of talking for 20 minutes. We're actually going to get you doing a little bit of doing before we introduce some of our speakers for today. What we're going to do to start off with is the mission that we have for today is, as a change maker, pitch an idea that solves a problem in your world. We're going to get all this done by 12:15 today. Buckle yourselves in, guys. It's going to be a wild ride. Now, the important part first is you've got to solve a problem. Which problem? There are lots of problems to tackle, so we need to think about the problem that we want to focus on. So whether you're joining us via the live stream or whether you're jumping into us in the room right now, I want you to think about what is one problem that you'd like to solve in the world. And what I would love for you to do is think about, do you know enough about it? Are you passionate about solving it? And is it connected to a problem that you've experienced? And we have some epic legends with some name tags and pens. Now, what you are going to do, if you're joining us by the live stream, you're going to write your problem on a piece of paper. If you are in the room, you're going to write your chosen problem and your name. Name at the top, problem underneath, slap it on your blazer or on your shirt. We're going to give you about 2 minutes to do that. So you'll see the stickers and the pens are going to come in from the side of the aisles. We're going to put some tunes on. We're going to give you a couple of minutes to put your name and a problem on a sticker or a piece of paper if you're joining us on the live stream.